This is wrong to abuse the tax system.
How can we not conclude that you misled this committee?
This appears to be just the latest example of a culture of cover-ups and political intimidation in this administration.
A human pinata, that's what you can describe here. The acting IRS Commissioner Steve Miller, I should say soon to be former, at the first congressional hearing regarding the agency's alleged targeting of Tea Party and other conservative groups that were looking for tax-exempt status. Miller, who was forced to resign from his post, he apologized for what he called foolish mistakes, those his words, made by the IRS agents, but he denied that conservative groups were the ones targeted.
We provided horrible customer service here. I will admit that. We did. Horrible customer service. I do not believe that partisanship motivated the people who engaged in the practices described in the Treasury Inspector General's report. I think that what happened here was that foolish mistakes were made by people trying to be more efficient in their workload selection.
Now, Miller says he first became aware of the improper activities last May, but didn't mention it when he testified before Congress just 2 months later. All right, this isn't good. I want to bring in the panel on this. Jessica Proud, Republican political consultant, vice president at NLO Strategies. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, and our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. And Andrew, I'll start with you. You watched all the hearings today. I thought Miller, I mean, he was a pinata from jump, but he did okay. I mean, he certainly didn't put, I think, more gas in the fire here for the administration, if anything. He made it clear this was an IRS problem, and it stayed at the IRS, and he screwed the thing up. They didn't go up the food chain once he was made aware of it, but it seemed to stay, at least, at the agency.
Well, I thought if the goal for lawmakers was to try to get the soundbite out or try to put something together that's going to work into their next campaign out, I thought that was fairly effective at doing that. But in terms of linking this back to the administration or to the White House or finding the smoking gun, that it seemed like there was some digging for, I didn't see that. I didn't hear that today. I don't know if this tamps down scandal fervor in Washington right now, but I think you got to consider this at least a better day than not for the administration.
Well, it won't tamper it down, and it doesn't matter, frankly, whether or not the White House was involved. The perception is always going to be that this president, well, not the president in particular, but this administration, that it goes up the chain. And they're never going to be able to get away from that perception.
But there's one distinction. I agree with you, Dom, except one group was always going to be looking for that no matter what. The issue was for the middle of America, that's not on the polar political wings. Do they say, oh, wait a minute, this was the IRS who we hated anyway because they're the IRS, and they acted the way they acted, or does somebody at the White House say, hey, you know what, it's an election season, go get those Tea Party folks here, go put the screws to them. That didn't come across today, and for people who are still waiting judgment as to what went down, I don't think, you know, it fed their heads at least.
You may be right, but perception becomes reality. And the perception is people are terrified of the IRS, and this confirms every worst case scenario that one could imagine.
But by the way, we're at the early stages of discovery with this whole thing. We just found out about this, so there needs to be due process. It's going to start with testimony from Miller, and there needs to be a further examination into this.
Well, let's be honest, Jess, you're right. But I know you know this, the three of you guys know this, but I'm not sure how many of the public do. It is illegal for any administration to give directives to the IRS, a la Richard Nixon, to go target enemies here.
Exactly.
So to suggest that we have to find out if they did it or not, I hear you, but it would be patently illegal and criminal to do so. So don't they get the presumption of innocence?
No, absolutely
the
not.
The administration?
Of course not.
We need to be on a fact-finding mission right now. Now, I'm not suggesting that we go out there and call for impeachment or start making charges.
That's already happened by some.
Start making charges before we know the facts. But the American public absolutely deserves to know whether or not that took place. It was going on under his nose. He's the leader of the administration. It's a government agency, and we need to get to the bottom of it so everyone can have faith that this isn't going to happen again.
Okay, and you, as I've said before, and this is the highest compliment I can give everyone, if I ever get in trouble, I'm coming to you because you can spin anything. Okay, that said, some Republicans are already making the same mistakes that they've made for 5 years. All they got to do is shut up and let the facts play out in this particular case. But already you got some yelling impeachment, some saying, basically get him already out of the office. And you got the RNC chairs begging him, right? Let the facts come out before you go too far. But it's already happening all over again. Though they're doing the impossible, they're going to manage to make this president a sympathetic figure. Do they ever learn their lesson?
It's a dangerous road to go down because you have some that are looking to just, win the news of the day, and then you have others that see the sort of long-term strategy of letting the facts play out and handling it from that standpoint. But, the problem is you're never going to be able to control every single member of Congress. They have their own objectives back in their own district. But I think the message from the party and from the party's leadership should be very much on fact-finding, let the facts speak for themselves, and not be too hyperbolic.
We've seen for 5 years, that's like herding cats.
Well, it is, but you said, we need to go down this road, but we've already been down this road. And Dominic, you said perception versus reality. The perception is that every time the president has sneezed over the last 5 years, you've had Republicans who have been saying, we need investigations, this is the worst president ever.
He's not a legal citizen.
Right, and so we've heard so many false alarms over the last 5 years.
But this is not a false alarm.
No,
Exactly.
but it tamps down the impact of what could potentially be damaging.
For those that did not support this president, what do you think they're saying as far as the IRS is going?
Oh, they think it's the biggest
They think they're going to be the next ones to be audited.
They
think they're going to be the next ones to be audited. And so that's the problem that the president finds himself in. This guy had to go. There's no doubt about it. And it may be illegal for an administration to do this, but people believe what they want to believe.
And then simultaneously, you have the AP scandal going on. You have Benghazi going on, which, by the way, everyone gave the left gave the Republicans a hard time when we were asking questions about that, and we're finding that there were major issues with that, which
Like
we
what?
knew all along.
Like what?
About the altering of the talking points. What do you mean, like what?
Not like, no. You say altering the talking points. And by the way, every single administration where there's something, all the agencies come in. This is to avoid stovepiping. They couldn't agree on all the facts, so they put some things out to suggest here that everything was buried here and they were trying to hide something.
They lied about it at the time, Richard.
She went out Sunday morning and said that they thought it was a spontaneous attack or whatever the heck she said, and we all know it was a terror attack afterwards.
Based on a video,
but here's
which
my
we
question
know
to you,
now
that nobody,
was
maybe you can be the
absolutely
person
not
to answer.
true.
Again, not minimizing the loss of 4 American lives. I think it's a huge deal. But my question is, whether it was a terror attack or whether it was idiots protesting and it turned violent, they're still dead. Isn't the most important thing like that we gotta bring the people to justice who did it? Not, well, wait a minute, was it Al-Qaeda or was it some protest in the street that turned violent? I still don't understand why that's the obsession.
Because it's lying to the American public about a terrorist attack. They had, of course, they deserve the right to know.
Each draft of those talking points said they thought it was likely a terror attack. I mean, it was
They
that
came
didn't change
out
in any
right
version
away
of the talking
and
points.
they pinned it on this video, which it had nothing to do with, and we know that now.
And the incentive to lie about that is what? What was their incentive to lie
because
that it was a terror
didn't
attack?
fit their narrative at the time that Osama bin Laden was dead and that the war on terror is over. And that's what they were pushing at the time during the campaign. So to say that they didn't try to make that political is extremely naive, and the public knows that.
By the way, before the election was over, she ended up not getting the job, okay? Even though the CIA is the one who really threw him under the bus here, if anybody cares about the facts out of this, but we'll get that out of the way. At the end of the day, the story did still come out before November. They all acknowledged that it was a terror attack.
It didn't come out to the degree that it's still ongoing. It is still ongoing at this point.
This conversation that you guys are, I mean, this is why IRS is, some people are going to be invested in it, some people are going to be interested in it, and other people are going to be like,
No.
They said one thing, they said another thing.
The IRS could be the biggest one of all these scandals, no doubt. Nobody cares about us in the press. The AP, they couldn't care less. I think it's a big story.
They should.
You do too. You do too. They don't care. But they do care about the IRS story.
It's a
and whether it's
pattern
the
of
administration's
behavior.
fault, and I don't think it is, they got a problem with this thing. And do you think could they have handled this much differently? If you were doing crisis management for the White House, what would you have done differently?
I think it was smart that they fired him right away, but I think he needs to be as transparent as possible. The Democrats cannot be appearing to condone this. They need to come out and condemn right away.
What did they do? They released all the emails in Benghazi. They've already said they're going to sign a reporter shield here for reporters for AP. And now here with the IRS, they're opening up everything. Everybody's making themselves
and
available.
Exactly. I'm saying that's exactly what they need to continue to be doing in order to restore the public's trust.
How long does this story last for?
The IRS story is going to last for the remainder of this president's tenure.
Are you kidding me?
I'm serious. They're not going to let this go, and perhaps rightfully so. I don't know to what degree, but this will linger on, and it may end up being part of his legacy. I mean, it really may.
Respectfully, you asked how long it lasts. I think it lasts to the end of the administration. How long does it matter? And I think it's a much shorter window on how long it matters.
Well, I
That
think
might be
it'll
right,
be
too.
a big issue in the midterms for certain.
For certain people, absolutely. We take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the week ahead. All the issues, and we've talked about a bunch of them this week here to keep an eye on. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.